In our archive collection here at Portmeirion, we truly have some stunning designs. It's no wonder that Portmeirion pottery is becoming increasingly collectible. Portmeirion's creative director, Julian Teed, was Susan's apprentice back in the 1980s and was inspired by her and her designs from the very first day he met her.
I remember phoning up Ewan Cooper-Willis, Susan's husband and co-chairman or founder of Portmeirion, back in 1984 it would have been. I came up for an interview in the summer of '84 and I was so nervous, and Susan invited me up here for 2 days. And I came up on the train and spent the first few hours with Ewan. And then I went down to Bank House and Susie was working in her studio modelling some vases. And I went in and I was like almost shaking in my boots, because I'm going to meet the most, in my opinion, iconic shape designer of the last century. Somebody that I had aspired to all through college. And here I was coming to maybe get a job with her. So I mean, it was awesome. And I'm not kidding, within 20 minutes, I felt completely at ease with her. She really was a wonderful person and communicating with people. And I got on with her so very well from that very first day.
Totem is considered to be one of Portmeirion's greatest design icons, and it was Totem that propelled Portmeirion pottery into stardom. Launched in 1963, nothing like it had ever been seen before. A tall, cylindrical-shaped coffee pot was adorned with embossed spirals and star-like symbols that stood out from the main body. With matching cups, plates and serving pieces, Susan created a striking and tactile range that took the 60s by storm.
I mean, I wish I could have asked her this actually before she passed away, but I suspect she started thinking about it in the 50s. And it was a gem of an idea that was bubbling away for a long time, and she couldn't really let it out until she started her own business. Totem started in 1963, it was launched in 1963. She probably started working on it in 1961, something like 62. A fabulous, fabulous piece that would look stunningly beautiful in any retail situation as of now, let alone 50 years ago. She again used her ability to drive the factory to somewhere where it might not have been able to go or wanted to go because they owned the business. What I mean by that is how she created Totem was not to do lots of drawings and technical drawings. She actually turned shapes and then literally sat there for 2 years with a tool and hand carved back into the moulds. And as you can see here, if you have a look, the symbolism and the symbols that she created were magical, fantastical, if that's such a word, absolutely breathtaking. And the beauty of them is that she did them straight into the plaster. She didn't draw them or sketch them, it just came straight out of her soul and into the plaster. That was one of the fantastic things about Susan.
Actually, how I thought of Totem was that I really hated scraper board. It always looks so, I don't know, there's something mechanical about it. It never looks natural, scraper board. And so I had the idea one time of wanting to have a reverse pattern. And so I painted a slab of plaster of Paris with black poster colour and then scratched through that. And then I thought, well, if one scratched a little deeper, it would make it would be like a seal. And so I did. And I tried a little block like that and scratched some little things similar to that, but not so deep. And pushed some clay into it, and lo and behold, so it was. And so I thought, well, that's a good idea. And so I did it.
But the piece that takes pride of place in Portmeirion's archive is a cylindrical coffee pot that Susan used to sketch out her idea for Magic Garden in pencil.
Magic Garden is one of Susan's most favourite designs, and when we were looking through the archive at Bank House, which is where Susan and Ewan lived and worked, we discovered the most wonderful treasure. I've worked for Portmeirion for 24 years. I had no idea this existed. We discovered the original coffee pot, cylinder coffee pot that Susan sat I imagine, in the garden of Bankhouse and drew. She's used a pencil here and she has drawn straight onto the pot. So effectively, what I'm looking at here is the original for that pattern. We found this in Bankhouse in a dusty old tea chest, and it had been sitting there since 1966, I would guess, when she drew it. We all found that incredible. It was amazing that A, it's Susan's iconic shape, and B, it's her hand. I just find it amazing. It's goosebumps. It's just her hand that she's drawn onto this. So when we found this wonderful gem down in the cellar of Bankhouse, we felt that we really had to do it justice. So it formed part of the 50th anniversary collection of the company. And we developed a limited edition of 500 of the iconic cylindrical coffee pot.